Hey everyone, it's Abby. How are you guys doing? Tonight we hear from a woman who says that her husband is continuously embarrassing her and she's looking for a way to get him to stop. So let's hear what she has to say. It says, "My husband is driving me insane. Every time he gets on the phone, I inevitably hear him say something that's embarrassing to me without him even realizing he's doing it. Every time I mention it to him, he just says, 'Oh, I don't think of it like that,' or 'I didn't mean it that way,' which really doesn't help. He also appears to pay no attention to our lives or has some sort of memory problem because he frequently tells people things that are incorrect. Usually it's something I've already mentioned to others, and then I end up looking like a liar or a fantasist when he gives his version. I don't think it's intentional because he does it to himself too. He'll undermine his own achievements or put himself down without knowing what he's doing. A few examples. I recently won a prestigious competition in my field that will open up a large number of opportunities for me. It is hands down the greatest professional achievement of my life so far, and I can't see me matching it anytime soon. However, when he would tell someone what I had done, he'd preface it by undermining it and adding in details that made it sound far less prestigious than it is, such as stating that there were restrictions on who could enter the competition. Everything he said was true, but just added details that made it sound less impressive. He recently got a very prestigious job offer and it pays really well. I'm so very proud of him. However, he had applied for the job a year ago and was turned down. Now another position had opened up and they contacted him to offer him the position. When he told everyone about the job, instead of saying, "Great news, I've been offered a new job," he would start by saying, "Well, a year ago I applied and they rejected me." It's completely true, but he's gone into the conversation making him look sloppy, like sloppy seconds, and talking about the initial failure. When I asked him why he said that, his answer was, "Well, it's true." Well, yeah, lots of things are true, but you don't have to phrase absolutely every single thing with the most negative light ever. Today he got a call from a friend who's getting married. My husband is the best man, and our son is a page boy. They were talking about getting shoes for my son and husband, and he says, "Yeah, we really struggle to find him brown shoes." This is completely untrue. My husband has mixed up when we are trying to find him black school shoes, but only because he's 2. And there were none available in his size, and all the shoes available in the stores were brown. It makes us seem completely incompetent. If his friend happens to spend 3 seconds on Google, he'll think we're complete idiots. It makes him seem oh, wait a minute. Sorry. Lost my spot. I know this seems like a complete non-issue, but it demonstrates that it is literally every single conversation he has. There's only so many times someone can hear that their friend's wife is incapable of doing basic things, like buying kids' shoes, before they build a picture that she's an out-and-out Muppet. Last week, he was talking to my sister's husband about getting new windows on their home, as we just had gotten ours replaced. My sister's husband asked how much our cost was, and he gave a completely wrong figure. My brother-in-law asked for the information on the people who did our windows, in parentheses, who were awful. We had a lot of problems with them. And he gave them the details. I stepped in and said that's not what we paid them, and we shouldn't be recommending them because of the problems we had with them. This, of course, made me look controlling and like I was gaslighting my husband. He didn't realize that by giving the information, it made it look like he was giving them a recommendation. And why would we do that when they would get the same poor service and were setting my sister and her husband up? We visited my dad over Christmas, and I was telling him about the opportunity that recently came up as a result of the above, and I mentioned the salary for it. My husband, being there the whole time, chimes in and said that the salary was 25,000 pounds lower than it actually is. So I looked like a liar. He was at the table participating in the same conversation in which I said what the salary was. Again, I'm left looking like I'm either lying or that my husband isn't paying attention to me. Embarrassed either way. This has been going on for years. When our son was a few months old, we were staying with my mom. Our son had been up all night, and I had been up with him. And it was now 6 a.m. I asked my husband if he could look after our son and maybe take him downstairs so that I could get some sleep. This is a long one, guys. Around 8 a.m., I went downstairs, and my mom and I had asked me how I was, and I just said tired. My husband says, "You can't be tired. You just woke up," completely failing to mention that I had only 2 hours of sleep and had been up all night. Of course, his justification of this comment was, well, it's true, as usual. He doesn't recognize at all that the things can be both true and misleading at the same time. We had just been discussing the day before how overly controlling and judgmental my mom is of my parenting, and his comment fed right into it by saying that in front of her. Another example is a couple of months ago, I was going for a run and he asked why I was using his water bottle. I said it was mine. He then ran through how he had bought it, except it was me and not him. Not an embarrassing issue, but it's the kind of thing I mean that he mixes up completely things that he's witnessed happening and then tells people incorrectly so that I look crazy if I correct him or previously have told a different accurate version. How do I address this? I feel as though everyone in our lives has a crappy opinion of us because every achievement gets undersold and every failure is broadcast widely, even if imaginary. And I'm coming across like a lying, manipulative gaslighter because he can't remember basic facts or events. His response is, people just don't care as much as you think they do, and doesn't seem to understand that I care when I'm constantly put in this position. This isn't an issue with his memory or anything, so I don't think it's medical. Admittedly, I am probably more sensitive than most in this respect. I am the youngest in a competitive family and have never ever been acknowledged for my achievements. I always played second fiddle to my closest brother, who, even though I always did objectively better than, always got praised. My husband's family is so very judgmental of me, as they say I've married up, and they didn't really warm up to me for many years, and him constantly putting me down without meaning has to play a role in that. Well, this is kind of a tough one. I mean, it sounds like it's a matter of perception more than anything, in my opinion. Everyone perceives the things differently. In the, like, if you look at the definition of perception, it says it's the ability to see, hear, or become aware of something through the senses, or the state of being or process of becoming aware of something through senses, in a way of regarding, understanding, or interpreting something leaves a mental impression. Intuitive understanding and insight. And in the psychological sense, it's the neurophysiological processes, including memory, by which an organism becomes aware of and interprets external stimuli. So, that being said, it almost sounds like, he's not intentionally doing the things he's doing. I don't think he's trying to make you look incompetent in any way. From the examples you gave, it almost sounds like that's just how he's perceiving the events, and what leaves the impression on his mind. If you just an example, take a look at a baseball game. Thousands of people fill this baseball stadium, and if you interviewed every person that walked as they were walking out of the stadium after the game was over, they're all going to have a different version of how the game was played, what was the most important play, the most crucial thing that happened, the biggest error they saw, whatever. It's perception. It's how they see it. And really a matter of perception is how, a part of that process, I guess you'd say, would be, how they were raised and how they were brought up. Um, you know, I don't, you said that you were brought up and always compared to one of your siblings. Obviously, that has, even though you've always did significantly better than him, you were always being compared, and he was always the one getting the praise and the attention. Maybe it's, not only the way he perceives things, but maybe it's the way that you perceive things. Because you have that ingrained in your head that you just have to excel at things and you have to draw attention to the positive. But maybe it's something to do with the way that you guys were both brought up in your backgrounds too. If you really want to change him, you're going to have to change the way he views things and views the world, and that's really not an easy thing to do. I think I lost my light here. Maybe trying to get him to ask him to point out the good in things versus pointing out the bad, calling attention to that, and you doing that, just in conversation with him, may be enough for him to start slowly doing that as well. And honestly, probably not something you want to hear, but I feel like when your husband says that people don't care as much as you think they do, I honestly think he's right. People really don't care as much as you think they do. I think the way that we're raised and brought up and the things that worry us as children growing up, like, transfers into the things that we worry about in adulthood. And most people really just don't care. And if they do, and they need to be all up in your business about it, well, then they have no life of their own. Honestly. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. Sit down and talk with him. Tell him how, does he know about how you were brought up and how you were always played second fiddle to your sibling, and even though you always did significantly better, maybe he will understand a little more how you feel and where that your frustration is coming from. Maybe seek some counseling of some sort to see if there's something you guys can work on together, for something for you to work on as far as not worrying so much about what other people think and feeling like you have to prove yourself, and get some tips for him on how to see things a little differently in life. Just a few thoughts to throw out there, some things to consider. I don't know if anyone else has had a situation like this. or any experience with this, some suggestions for this lady, please leave them in the comments below. Help her out if you can. Toss some ideas around. I wanted to thank you for writing in and sharing your story. Feel free to send us an update. I'd like to hear how you guys are doing, what you guys did, and if any of it worked. And I wish you the best of luck. Everybody out there, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share. Help our community grow, especially with the comments and the likes. That is going to be the best way to help our community grow, keep our channel going. And until next time, everyone, we will see you real soon. Bye.